Not every marriage is common. Not every couple is the product of chance. Some unions are written long before time, long before any encounter. They are not born by coincidence. They are born from a divine purpose. There are people who carry a different light, called to something greater, chosen to transform, heal, inspire. Alone, they are already like torches in the darkness. But when two of these people meet and choose to walk side by side, everything changes. Heaven moves, the spiritual world reacts, and the earth feels the impact of that alliance. Common couples unite by affinity, desire, or circumstance, but the chosen ones unite by mission. They do not merely build a life together. They activate promises, unblock gifts, break cycles, and release over themselves and others something that cannot be explained by logic alone. The truth is that when two chosen ones marry, extraordinary things happen. Marriage ceases to be a mere civil or religious union, and becomes a fertile field where miracles sprout with natural ease. The light of one enhances the light of the other. Gifts multiply, blessings flow, and spiritual protection becomes visible. This kind of relationship carries a different atmosphere. It brings healing to those who observe, hope to those who have lost faith in love, direction to those who are lost. It is as if God uses that union as a storefront of what is possible when He is at the center. I am George, and, in the upcoming parts, you will discover the 9 blessings that arise when two chosen ones say yes. They are not common blessings. They are deep transformations that affect the soul, the home, the history, and even future generations. If you are already part of this kind of union, this material will open your eyes even more to the value of the mission you carry together. If you are still waiting for that person, may every word serve as preparation, hope, and confirmation. And if you are healing your faith in love, may you here see a reflection of what God can still do. Now, take a deep breath and open your heart, because when two chosen ones marry, heaven writes a new chapter. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this video. When two chosen ones unite in marriage, something far beyond what the eyes can see happens. It is not just a ceremony, vows, or a party. It is a spiritual milestone. A portal opens. Heaven envelops. Angels watch. Darkness reacts. The spiritual world recognizes that two powers have just formed a powerful and eternal alliance. Each one already carries their own light, mission, and spiritual authority, but together, this light intensifies like 2 thunderclaps merging into a single sound. The authority multiplies. The covering increases. The energy that was once individual now dismantles hidden resistances. The marriage becomes a living altar where battles are won, destinies released, and purposes activated. This union breaks barriers that previously seemed impossible. What was blocked begins to flow. What was resistance becomes expansion. Two chosen ones do not walk, they march. And their march drags what had been stagnant for years. The impact of this alliance is not measured by visible events, but the fruits appear early and are striking. Marriage between the chosen is more than daily coexistence. It is a summons to advance together in spiritual, emotional, and practical missions. It is a force that destroys negative patterns, heals old wounds, and opens new pathways. Heaven invests in this union because it is a response for generations. It is an inheritance for children. It is a sign of a fresh start for entire families. This alliance moves in the unseen. It rearranges territories, undoes ancient covenants, and establishes new stakes in the spiritual world. It is not merely a love story, it is a heavenly decree. And this decree guarantees protection, direction, and provision for the couple. The union becomes a beacon that lights dark paths, inspires others, and expands the kingdom of God. Therefore, this union should not be treated as something common. It requires awareness, care, and commitment. Two chosen ones together must understand that their marriage is a calling. It is a shared mission. It is the sum of two stories that become one narrative. And in this narrative, the author is God, who writes with eternal intentions. They do not merely share a life, they share a legacy. The marriage between the chosen is not a refuge to tow from the world, but a barracks to advance against it. It is a place of strategies, prayer, mutual support and growth. It is a space where both become stronger and the world around feels the impact of that. Each gesture, prayer, and decision of this couple reverberates in the spiritual. When they pray, heaven opens. When they serve, chains break. When they advance, territories are conquered. This is not poetic, it is real. It is the power of marriage transformed into an altar. An altar where God dwells, where both surrender, and where their union becomes a weapon of transformation. This is the beauty and weight of the union of two chosen ones. It is not just a beautiful story. It is a divine answer for difficult times. It is the materialization of a purpose. It is an alliance that carries authority, light, and impact. Therefore, every step, every choice, and every prayer together have eternal value. This is the strength of this union. Every person is born with specific gifts given by God. It may be wisdom, vision, discernment, creativity, healing, faith, or leadership. Even when isolated, these gifts already make an impact. But when two chosen ones come together, the gifts amplify in a supernatural way. It's not just about adding abilities. It's about awakening something new that only works in the couple's harmony. One's gift activates the other's. One reveals, the other protects. One sees the path, the other feels the mood. This dynamic isn't just practical, it's spiritual. It's as if the marriage turned on invisible sensors that, when apart, would remain off. And thus, a powerful harmony is born. A partnership that builds effortlessly and transforms environments. They do not compete. They complement each other. They celebrate each other's abilities without rivalry. This celebration creates freedom for each to bloom without fear. The marriage becomes a space of validation, where dormant gifts awaken, forgotten talents resurface, and new abilities emerge without anyone needing to pressure or compare. It's natural growth. The home becomes a prophetic environment. Ideas, projects, and revelations flow spontaneously. The couple begins to experience divine creativity, a strategic vision for complex problems, and a faith that surpasses challenges. This does not happen by chance. It is the fruit of unity, alignment, and knowing they are on the same team and same purpose. Where there was insecurity before, certainty arises. Where there was doubt, clarity is born. Mutual support creates courage to act. One strengthens the other in moments of weakness. One inspires the other to grow. And together they become a platform for others to rise. Not only do they live for themselves, but to multiply life around. This amplified harmony is strategic for the kingdom. It's not only for the couple, it's for the people around them, for projects that impact cities, for children who will be prepared, for causes that need answers. It's as if God joined puzzle pieces and said, "Now together, you can go beyond what you were ever separated." In marriage, gifts are not merely exercised. They are sharpened, they are tested, they are strengthened. They are used to bring real transformation. It's not a common partnership. It's an incubator of talents, dreams, and purposes. A space where each person's potential becomes fuel for the other to advance even faster. This environment also generates healing, because instead of competition, there is empathy. Instead of judgment, there is support. Instead of isolation, there is partnership. and this opens space for the Holy Spirit to act even more deeply. Every conversation, every prayer, every decision together carries a spiritual weight that shapes not only the couple, but those around them. The marriage between two chosen ones is, then, more than an emotional bond. It is a fertile ground where gifts amplify, talents flourish, and purposes align. Not because they are perfect, but because they chose to walk together consciously. This is the strength of spiritual harmony. Two become one, so that many may be reached. When two chosen ones unite, something changes in the environment they live in. Abundance begins to move toward them naturally. It is not the result of excessive effort or desperation. It is as if heaven responds to the union with a greater release of favor. Everything begins to flow: projects, ideas, connections, and even rest. They do not need to chase opportunities. Opportunities begin to chase them. Not by luck or chance, but by the spiritual frequency they carry. Together, they become a magnet of possibilities. What was once blocked begins to move. Doors that were closed open. Paths that did not exist begin to appear. And this abundance is not limited to money. It goes far beyond. They perceive a peace that used to be rare. Time becomes more productive. The mind creates more easily. Decisions come with greater clarity. There is rest even in the midst of routine. It is as if heaven aligned all areas so that their purpose would be fulfilled. Creativity increases. Ideas not only appear, they work. There is flow in the projects. There is harmony in relationships. Cycles organize themselves. Everything begins to work out, but in a different way, without weight, without stress, without anxiety. The feeling is of lightness, as if they had entered a new rhythm of life, guided by God. Even when the enemy tries to sabotage, faults become testimonies. Difficulties become stories of overcoming. What was meant to destabilize strengthens. What was meant to embarrass exalts. They do not live trying to manipulate the outcomes, because they know that the abundance that comes from God does not require control. It flows because it has a purpose. This abundance becomes visible. People around notice. Family feels it. Children perceive it. Friends reap it. The blessing does not stop with them. The union carries an overflow that reaches anyone nearby. It is like a fruit tree planted in the right place. It bears constant fruit and feeds everyone around, and this attracts even more grace. The most beautiful thing is that they do not feel superior because of it. There is no arrogance. There is gratitude. They recognize that it is not merit, it is grace, and this consciousness keeps the heart in the right place. They continue planting, serving, sowing, because they know that true abundance is not just to accumulate, but to share generously. This abundance also reaches the emotional. There is maturity in conversations, care in words, intention in gestures. The home becomes a place of healing. Nights are not full of fights, but of conversations that build. Routine, which for many is a burden, for them is a refuge. Because where there is purpose, even the ordinary becomes special. God loves to bless unions that carry purpose. He honors couples who decided to live aligned with heaven. The prosperity that comes to them is not random, it is intentional. They do not live for the sake of having, but for the sake of being, and because of that, they receive more than they asked for, because the heart is in the right place, focused on serving, not accumulating. This is the abundance that pursues, not because they are perfect, but because they are positioned. They are aligned. They are under a mission greater than themselves. And heaven honors that. When two chosen ones live in unity, everything around them begins to flourish. It is not magic. It is a consequence of living at the center of the will of God. Before marriage, each battle was faced with fasting, intense prayer, and spiritual resistance. The fight was solitary, even though brave. But when two chosen ones unite, something invisible is activated. A shield is released. What used to require war now unravels by itself. The arrows come, but find no place. The attacks lose strength in the air. What was previously constant wear and tear becomes silence. Gossip dissipates. Envy finds no space. The opposition seems to lose energy even before arriving. This happens because there is extra coverage. The union between the chosen emits a sound in the spiritual world that repels what does not come from God. Evil is bothered. They do not need to explain themselves, defend themselves, or enter into unnecessary debates. The testimony of the union speaks louder than any justification. The mere fact of them being together in peace is enough to silence the environment. There is something in their presence that establishes order without them raising their voices or retaliating against attacks. Who hates cannot endure. Who tries to manipulate gives up. Who tries to divide is frustrated. The light they carry is annoying to those who live in darkness. But at the same time, it is inspiring to those who seek truth. Their union provokes something in others. It either brings them closer or reveals what needs to be dealt with in others' hearts. This couple begins to live a phase where war becomes more strategic. They no longer waste energy on what isn't worth it. They know where to focus. They know when to stay silent. And this, by itself, is already a victory. Their silence carries power. Their peace bothers more than any inflammatory speech. The love between them transforms into a wall, not a wall of separation, but of protection, a barrier that evil cannot cross. And this is not built overnight. It is the fruit of unity, of intimacy with God, of prayers made together, and a daily choice to keep heaven as a priority. The enemy recognizes this kind of alliance. He knows he isn't dealing with any couple. He tries, but cannot succeed. Because now there are not two vulnerable, but one strengthened. Resistance is greater, discernment is sharper, and the shield is wider. This changes the spiritual landscape around them completely. Even amid challenges, they do not react as before. They do not despair. They do not lose control. They know they are covered. They know they are guarded, and that brings rest. While others live tense, they trust. While others react, they pray. This posture already silences the enemies. It already confuses the plans of evil. It already inverts the game. The war still exists, but the mode of fighting has changed. And often they don't even need to fight. Just remain, just trust, just walk in unity. Because this union by itself is already a declaration to hell. Here you have no space. And that certainty pushes away fear, increases faith, and attracts even more grace. That is how enemies are silenced without a fight, by presence, by alliance, by posture. A couple aligned with God carries peace that disarms chaos. And this is not learned in theory. It is lived in practice, one day at a time, with humility, discernment, and purpose. This is the most powerful weapon that exists, unity. Marriages have the power to transform environments, but when two chosen ones unite, this transformation reaches entire generations. It is not just about forming a new family, but about breaking old cycles. Where there was a history of separations, there is now permanence. Where there was a repetition of scarcity, there is now provision. Where there was pain before, there is now healing. This type of union does not reproduce the patterns it knew. On the contrary, it confronts them. The traumas that had been repeating from generation to generation are interrupted. What was considered normal by the previous lineage is replaced by a new reality. The home ceases to be a battleground and becomes fertile soil of restoration. The children born from this alliance already arrive in a new spiritual environment. They do not need to fight against the same burdens as their parents. They are born in freedom. They grow up surrounded by principles, presence, and purpose. The spiritual ceiling of the parents becomes the floor for the children. This changes everything. They start from a higher place. Generational curses are broken not only by words, but by actions. Firm decisions, practiced forgiveness, pursued emotional healing, kept commitment. What this couple does in the present has a deep impact on the family's future. They are not just raising children, they are building a lineage with identity, faith, and strength. The authority this union carries is real. They do not live only to receive blessings, but to start something new. A new cycle, a new level, a new standard. When others said that it has always been this way, they show that it is possible to be different. They show that obedience to God changes entire histories. The home becomes a place of refuge, not conflict, of conversation, not shouting, of building, not destruction. The children learn by example. They see love practiced, not just spoken. They feel security. They understand the value of the alliance. They grow up knowing they were desired, protected, and sent by something greater. And even when challenges come, they do not bear the weight of past generations, because now there is a couple who knows how to fight, how to pray, how to protect, and above all, how to remain. They understand that they are writing a new story, where blessing replaces the curse and purpose overcomes the broken pattern. This transformation does not stay hidden. It reaches the parents, aunts, and uncles, the grandparents. Those who live with this couple begin to notice something different, and this different is Jesus at the center. He is the one who heals, sustains, guides, and transforms. The change is not only behavioral, it is in essence. It is real. It is lasting. This type of marriage is not common. It is a calling, a mission, a portal between what has passed and what will come. They are not just husband and wife. They are restorers of ancient paths. They are leaders of a new generation. What they build now will be harvest for many in the future. They do not merely win personal battles. They win blood wars, silent wars that no one sees, but which God honors. And for that reason, what they live does not end with them. It becomes legacy. It becomes direction. It becomes a living spiritual inheritance that will continue to echo for a long time. When two chosen ones decide to walk together, they do not just form a family. They build a legacy. The love that unites them is not fleeting. It matures with time, withstands the winds, and becomes increasingly stronger. They live something real, not because everything is perfect, but because they decided to remain even on difficult days. This type of union does not depend on appearance. It does not need constant proof. Its firmness lies in the essence. People look at them and believe in love with a purpose again. They see truth, constancy, partnership. They see forgiveness being applied, care being practiced, commitment being kept. And that inspires. It touches. It awakens hope in tired hearts. They do not need to convince anyone. Their life speaks for itself. Each choice, each decision, each silent renunciation builds something eternal. What they live becomes testimony. The way they treat each other, how they protect one another, how they share the days. All of it communicates. Without speeches, without forcing, simply living. And the most beautiful thing is that what they build together does not end when life passes. What they leave behind remains. It remains in the children. It remains in the people they helped. It remains in the counsels they gave, in the prayers they made, in the seeds they planted. It remains as an example for couples who will come after. It remains as a light that does not go out. This is the power of a marriage with purpose. It transcends time. It goes beyond the now. It does not build only a beautiful story to remember, but a solid foundation for others to build as well. Their home becomes a reference, not for perfection, but for coherence, because there is truth, and where there is truth, there is light. When two chosen ones marry, the world does not stay the same. Something changes in the invisible. A kind of alliance is born, and it carries a signature that is not of men. It is from God. The journey that began as an encounter becomes a mission, and everything that exists around that couple begins to be touched by this union. Throughout this content, you have learned 9 deep blessings that manifest when the marriage is between two called ones. And perhaps, while reading, something has lit up in you. Maybe you have seen your own story here. Or perhaps, for the first time, you have understood that marriage goes far beyond romantic love. It is a weapon, an altar, a living inheritance. The truth is that many chosen couples go through struggles before they unite. The resistance is real. The opposition is intense, because the enemy knows the power that a union like this carries. But when they manage to meet and establish themselves, no one can stop what God has determined. This love does not fade. It strengthens. It attracts favor. It breaks curses. It activates gifts. It yields fruits. And even after this couple leaves, the world will still be different because they passed through here. This is the true legacy, to live in a way that the light continues even after the end. If you already live this, may this text strengthen faith and renew commitment. If you are still waiting, may it prepare your heart and raise your standard. Do not accept anything, because when it is with the right person, everything will make sense. And if you are in a process of healing, remember, God still writes love stories that transform generations. The marriage of two chosen ones is not a fairy tale. It is a celestial mission, and every celestial mission ends with glory, fruits, and light.